Right, so this is video number 5, and we're going to talk about mindset. Now, you can have all the tools, you can have all the strategies in, plan written out, but if your mind is not in the right place, it's so hard to implement what you plan. And let me give you an example of how I may have failed in one way or another. This YouTube channel, I started it in 2021. I posted 19 videos and then I disappeared. It wasn't that I lost interest or that I did not have any ideas. In fact, I had so many of them, but I was afraid of what starting again would mean. When you're starting all over, you tend to start and stop. Every time I thought about posting, this quiet thought would show up. What if I start again and stop again? So that's what I was afraid of, really. And you don't even realize it. It's very subtle. It was enough to stall me for years. If you're transitioning right now and you keep telling yourself, I just need to think a little more, or the perfect idea or the perfect timing, this video is for you. Because mindset is not about being positive. It's about what you do when that obstacle shows up. This is the final video in the series. We've talked about overthinking. We've talked about the runway, fear versus real constraints. But none of that matters if your identity is still stuck in protection mode. So today I'm teaching one thing, the WOOP method. It is WOOP. It's a mindset discipline. I'm going to show you how this is what finally got me back into the camera. Funny thing is I was recording, but not long form, When you're in between seasons and you're transitioning, you're not afraid of the tasks that are ahead of you. You're afraid of what the task might reveal about you. For me, restarting this channel wasn't about uploading a video, really. It was about risking the identity of the woman who follows through. What if I wasn't her anymore? And if you're anything like me, if you're the high achiever out there, we don't fear effort. We will try. What we fear the most is exposure. Exposure of inconsistency, exposure of imperfection, exposure of being seen trying. So instead of acting, we think, we analyze, we prepare. We tell ourselves we're being strategic, but underneath it's the question is, if I try again, who might I discover I am? That's identity level fear. And mindset work has to meet you there in trying to figure out who you really are. There's a concept in psychology called self-efficacy. It was by Albert Bandura. He introduced it so many years ago, and it simply means your belief that you can execute what you intend to do. But here's the important part. Self-efficacy doesn't come from, affirmations. It comes from mastery experiences. So you need proof, you need evidence. Your brain believes what you repeatedly demonstrate, not what you repeatedly declare. And that's when I realized something. I didn't need confidence to restart this channel. I just needed evidence that I could handle the discomfort. And that's where the WOOP changed everything. So the WOOP method. So let me teach you what WOOP stands for. It's wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. It's based on something called mental contrasting and implementation intentions. But forget the research terms for a second. Here's what the WOOP method really does. It forces you to stop fantasizing about the future and start preparing for the friction. So let me show you what that means. You wish, right? So my wish was simple. I want to start posting again, not building an empire, not going viral. I mean, if you want to go viral or if you want to build an empire when you're just starting out, that's what's going to keep you stuck. So I just wanted to start again, just a post, right? Now my outcome, what would that give me? Would it give me relief? Would it give me momentum? Would it be self-respect? See, that's very important because we don't just want outcomes. We want to feel aligned with ourselves. Your outcome has to be in alignment with what you want. And the second O is the obstacle. In the obstacle is where mindset actually happens. The obstacle wasn't time. It wasn't ideas. But the thought that, what if I fail publicly again? That was the real obstacle, because this is YouTube. You're putting yourself out there. I wasn't worried about the algorithms because I didn't know what they were, SEO, whatever it is, but the fear of failing again, right? That was my own narrative. So P is the plan. The plan is a reframe in a way, right? Where you take your obstacle and try to think about it differently. So if my obstacle was overthinking, right? If I start overthinking before I post, what I decided to do is stop overthinking, create a video, edit it, post it imperfectly as soon as you're done with it. Forget about it. Because if it's imperfect, for the next video I'm going to make, I'm going to remember what was imperfect about the previous one, right? I'm going to take notes. I've learned. I have evidence. So I'm going to take notes and try not to make the same mistake in the second video, right? So if my fear was, I feel exposed, I decided to reframe that. Then I will remind myself that I am just training my new identity, right? So that's the plan. So when you reframe with a plan, you make a serious shift. Because now when fear showed up, I wasn't debating it. I had already decided that that's just my mindset. That's playing games with me. So this is the part that matters most. WOOP didn't just help me post, change the identity I was practicing. Instead of practicing the woman who waits until she's certain, I practice the woman who executes when friction appears. And that's the reason you have 5 videos now in the last 2 months. That's the difference between dreaming about a transition and becoming the kind of woman who completes one. When you're a high achiever, you don't need any more information. You don't need another certificate. When you're in a transition, your brain might trick you into needing a certification. I know I've considered getting AI certified, but then I asked myself, for what? Right now it's working for me the way I'm using it, right? So you want to stay away from needing more information. What you need is to train your identity under pressure. So WOOP gives you that training ground. So here's what I want you to do right now. What's your wish? What's your outcome? What are the obstacles? That right there is what you need to spend time on. What are the obstacles and how can you overcome them? How do you reframe? What plan do you have to reframe those obstacles? It might be that you're trying to figure out, a business that you want to start. But the obstacle is, I have so many skills and I don't know where to start. That is a good problem to have. When you write down all of those skills, you look at them and say, okay, what is it that I can start with? What's the easiest for me to start with? That's a plan. Just pick one. Because you know what? What I've learned through this transition process, whatever you start with is not your forever plan. It isn't. It evolves with time. So things evolve. 3 months ago, I was still talking to founders who are trying to create their second level team, the founder and then the second level. What I was talking to businesses that had that struggle finding people who sit at that second level who can jump into decision making or offload the workload from the founder, the burnt out founder. That's what I was doing 3 months ago. But today I'm talking to the woman who's almost burning out, whose life doesn't make any sense, who's trying to figure it all out, who's asking herself the question, now what? And the only reason I came to this discovery that this is where I want to focus is because I was doing something. I was active. And I did get some clients with my old niches, but the shift comes along the way. The more you try, the more you realize the direction you want to take. I have moved. I've gone through so many transitions. I've told you my story in the previous videos, but I left a thriving business and I had no plan. The only plan I had, I actually had a plan, not to make money, but the plan I had was to sit at home and take care of my children. And while I was doing that, I realized that my marriage was not what I wanted it to be. And so I got a divorce. No business, no money. I had just started my coaching business. I got a divorce, moved in with my parents. So you can imagine the amount of uncertainty that I was going through at that time. And so I was doing things back to back. In fact, I went into performance mode because I was in survival mode. I was so worried about making that money again. And I tried so many things so fast. And in performance mode, nothing you do is long term. Seriously, the mind doesn't know how to create something that's long term because you're so in survival mode. So your transition doesn't move because you finally feel ready. It moves because you repeatedly act while feeling unready. That's the mindset shift that you want to stick with. If you want accountability around this WOOP method, I am going to be talking about a lot of this in my free school community. So please come and join us. The link is down below. I have worksheets in there and tools that can help you. And you have immediate access to me where you can ask me questions and tools, practical tools that you can implement right now to try and get yourself out of this messy middle. So let me know in the comments what your WOOP method looks like, what your transition feels like right now. That's enough. All right. And I'll talk to you soon.